I start in the name of Allah Azza wa Jal, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Allah Azza wa Jal has created everything in the utmost beauty and the utmost perfection. He has truly given us the ability to interact with each other by many different ways, by language, by different ways of expression that we may use. One way that we may express ourselves or speak with others or communicate with others is called the concept of culture. In the world we live in today, Allah has allowed it so that we are able to be ones who are affected by the outside, and we can affect others as well in two different ways. We can affect others and we can be affected ourselves. It's very important that we understand that when it comes to culture, there is no barrier between religion and culture. Meaning there's no big difference between culture, that there is no argument or difference between culture and religion. Culture and religion go hand in hand. But in today's examination, I would like for us to understand what place culture holds in the religion of Islam. And mainly to the concept of hijab, which I'll be talking about tonight. Because as you know, Karbala and the 40th is not only men. Imam Hussein alayhi salam is a male, his companions were males. But Karbala is not only about the males that sacrifice. There are also many female stories that our sisters are able to take heed from. There are also many stories of Sayyidah Zainab, Sayyidah Ruqayya, Sayyidah Sukaina. Many females that our sisters are able to learn from and take solace from. When examining culture, we'll come to realize that everyone likes to express himself through his own culture. That's why many times you find, wherever you go, that the centers are split up into different groups. You have the Irani center, the Khoja center, the Iraqi center. It's quite sad that it's this way, but the reality of things is this is how it works, because people don't like to mix with other cultures. They like to always feel confident, and because their culture gives them confidence, they feel at the utmost level of confidence and they don't want to leave from where they are. Because as human beings, we like balance. We like to be balanced, and our insides, we like ourselves to be balanced. That's why you find people who are insecure, what would they do? They go and they buy the flashiest clothing, and they buy the most jewelry, and they buy the most expensive cars, and they're always talking and they're chasing after the women and they're doing the most indecent things. They're the people who are called the life of the party. Many of these people, it's because inside they're insecure. And it's sad because many of our youth are this way. They feel insecure, so they present themselves to conform with everything around them so they feel secure. As human beings, we love security. We want to be secure. The individual who's secure will walk around and will not even care whatever anyone says about him. He's so confident and firm, no matter where he is, where he's standing, however that he may be in that situation, he is always outshining others. Whether it be at the masjid, at school, at the workplace, wherever he may be, he is outshining everyone around him. And he doesn't need the flashy clothing or the flashy clothes, or he doesn't need to put up a garb of arrogance or a garb of ego or a garb of pride like we see many musicians do today. Because they feel so insecure, they feel they need the security, they need your attention. And the thing is, our youth are falling for this. When these musicians and the artists ask for attention, we give them our attention, we act like them, we dress like them. Look at basketball players. They have owned a right in our homes. Why? A young youth might look at Michael Jordan, or might look at, for example, Kobe Bryant, who arguably is one of the best basketball players today. Kobe Bryant. Look at Kobe Bryant, he's got the fame, he's got the money, he's got it all. A young boy watching basketball looks at Kobe and says, my God, this is success. I want to be just like this person. He conforms right with it. He conforms with the concept of success. He sees it as something successful. He's famous. But in reality, these people inside, they're not secure. They're looking for your attention. They're feeding off your attention. If you didn't give them any attention, they wouldn't be where they are today. As human beings, we like to be secure. We can't mix with others. That this culture at times makes a problem between us. That it doesn't allow us to mix with other cultures. I remember in Toronto, when I was there in Muharram, there is a plaza with I think about 3 or 4 different masjids all together. Meaning the Iraqi center is stuck, and the only thing that breaks it between the Irani center is a wall. The only thing that breaks the Irani center from the Khoja center is just one wall. And I say, why have all these walls? Break it down and make one big center and come together. It's beautiful, but we can't do it. Because our culture stops us. We love to express ourselves through culture, through art, through music, through these different things that we love to express ourselves with. And these are reality. Many people, for example, go to music to express themselves. At school, the youth might know more about this, you're split into different cliques, right? You have, for example, the clique that dresses a certain way and listens to, for example, hip-hop music. You have the clique that listens to rock music. The clique who likes to do different things. Different cliques that are there. These bring themselves out because people express themselves through what they listen to. Others express themselves through art. For example, there's Persian art. Or there's Arabic art. You know, it puts you in a class. If you're a person who draws Arabic art, you know this man is an Arabian. Or if you like Persian art, then you're considered to be a Persian because that's the style that you might draw with. Although necessarily it might not always be that case, but it gives us identity. We love culture because it gives us an identity. It puts us somewhere, makes us belong somewhere. And it's so important to understand culture because if you don't, there's a huge problem. You know, in Iran, usually when you go to somebody, someone does something good, you give them a thumbs up. But in Tehran, if you give somebody a thumbs up, don't be surprised if you get shot. Right? It's something bad. It's considered to be a bad sign. Or for example, in Iraq. Usually when you sit in a majlis in Iraq, where people drink coffee or they sit or they talk, they bring you a small shot of coffee in a small glass. And if you want to drink some, you drink it. And when you give it back to the person serving you, because he goes around in a circle, you should give it to him directly. If you shake the cup, it means you want more. If you don't shake the cup, you give it to him directly. And if you don't know about this, then you're a person just giving him the cup, but you might want more. In their sense, and when it comes to them, you should be acquainted in their culture. You should be one who understands their culture. When you don't understand the culture at times, you don't respect it, it causes problems. Islam came to say that culture and religion are together. But if culture surpasses religion, then that's wrong. That there's no more culture. Culture's thrown out of the window when it comes over Islam. Realize how when the Prophet came, some cultures he kept, some cultures he revolutionized, some he threw away because they were indecent, they were bad. A culture that the Prophet kept was that when he came to the Arabians, you know, were covered in a cloud of darkness. Killing was a norm. Fighting was a norm. Rape, all of these things, there were norms. Killing each other was a norm. All of these things, stealing from each other, these were normal things. These would be done in the streets and no one would say anything. They had 4 months of peace where no war was able to be took. Because the Arabians would always attack tribes. They would attack each other because they wanted to have more land. Right? That's why the Aus and the Khazraj, 2 different tribes, they fought for 100 years. 100 years, these 2 tribes fought. 4 months, the Arabians had set where there would be no war. Rajab, Sha'ban, Muharram, and Dhul-Hijjah. 4 months. They can't fight. The Prophet came and said, this is beautiful. These are 4 months of peace. This should stay. It's a culture that they've had. It's a culture that they've adapted to. It stayed. Other cultures in the total reform. For example, the burial of the young women. Young girls to be buried. A child, an infant, if she was a female, should be buried. Allah says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ بِأَيِّ ذَنْبٍ قُتِلَتْ. Why was the young female child put into the ground and buried? For what reason? When the Prophet came to see this, he said, this is wrong. And he started to teach against this. One person who came towards Islam was because of this specific rule. The mother of Ammar ibn Yasir, Sumayya. Ammar ibn Yasir, his parents, Sumayya and Yasir, were the first martyrs of Islam. The first martyrs in the name of Islam was his parents, Sumayya and Yasir. Ammar comes home one day and he bumps a statue. And his parents hadn't been Muslim yet. The statue falls on the floor. His mother looks at him. She says to him, Ammar, what have you just done? To her mother, the statue fell. She said, pick it up. The God will be angry with you. To her mother, the statue that falls on the floor and can't protect itself from falling on the floor, can't pick itself back up. How is it going to protect me? It's like, for example, Abu Dhar. Abu Dhar al-Ghifari, the way he came to Islam, is that he had a quite comical incident one day. That he was looking at a statue, and a fox came by the statue, their god, and he urinated on the statue. So he saw this. He says, what's going on? How can this God, who can't protect himself from the urine of the fox, be my God? It can't be possible. When the people came to him and said to him, Abadar, why have you become Muslim? He says, because of the fox that urinates on your statue. That's why I'm not your religion. That's why I'm not a kafir like you are. These things highlighted to Sumayya. She looked at him and said to him, Ammar, where did you get this logic? Who's been teaching you this? He said to her, Muhammad has been teaching me this. Salawat ala Muhammad. He said to her, Muhammad has been teaching me this. He has been putting these things in my heart. And she said to him, what has Muhammad also taught you? He said to her, Muhammad has also taught me that today he spoke to us about the burying of the young girls and how wrong this is and how we must fight this. It's wrong. Sumayya in that instant started to cry and she left the room. Ammar looks at his father. He asks him, Dad, why is she crying? What happened? He says to him, Ammar, your mother's father, your grandfather, buried 3 of your mother's sisters alive while they were still infants. 3 that preceded her. He says the 4th one, who happened to be your mother, was not buried alive. Because the previous daughter, who he buried alive, as he was burying her, she took her hand out of the grave. He says from the angle your grandfather was seeing this, was very sad. He said he vowed that the next daughter he will not bury. And he didn't bury Sumayya. She wasn't buried and she was able to stay alive. When Sumayya heard of this, that Prophet Muhammad was teaching this, she changed. And she said that Islam is a beautiful religion. They came to her and they said to her, Sumayya, they tied her hands and her feet and they were pulling her body apart. And they said to her, Sumayya, leave Islam. And she would say, oh, no, only Allah is my God. At the end, she was stabbed with a spear and she died. And she became the first woman martyr in Islam. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Look what a change of culture can do to a person. A culture that you might have might be wrong. Do not let it surpass religion. Once culture surpasses religion, there's a huge problem. Because religion is the dominating overall rule. If you live in a country that says, if you do not drink alcohol, we will put you in prison, you will die. It makes it obligatory for you in this country. Makes it obligatory for you to drink alcohol. Living in that country is haram because your religion automatically tells you you shouldn't drink alcohol. You have to leave. Examining this, you realize that the Prophet kept some rules. Others he changed. One of the biggest rules that the Prophet changed and he reformed was the concept of hijab. The question that's always asked by the sisters is that, Brother Ali, we talk about hijab and speakers many times talk about hijab, but we want proof from the Quran, a verse that says, women, put something on your head. Oh, women of Islam, put something on your head. Wrap your head. Where is that verse? Why isn't it existent? Why isn't it in the Quran? I'll answer that for you. If we want to translate the Holy Quran and derive laws from the Quran, we have to look at the context that the Quran came down in. For example, many Christians or Jews come to us and say, you know what? Your Holy Quran is a book that talks about killing infidels. The Quran says, kill the infidels where you find them and make sure you pain them. And because of this, your Islamic terrorists are doing things like September 11. They say this. In reality, this verse has no context to where we live in today. No, Islam preaches mercy, preaches love. And the time that verse was revealed, the kuffar were attacking the Muslims. Allah says, if they attack you, then defend yourself. If they come to you, defend yourself. The Holy Prophet, his first war was his 19th year of his message. How many years did he live? 23 years. When was his first war? The 19th year. If he was a man who had spread religion by the sword, then why not start from day one? Why start after 19 years of your message? Makes no sense. After 19 years, a prophet started, not from day one. It's a religion of peace. But when you take verses and you put them out of context, it doesn't make sense. We have to use them in context. Allah doesn't have a verse in the Quran that talks about hijab. You know why? Because the Arabian women were already wearing veils on their head. They were already wearing hijab. The Christians, up until King Antioch, were wearing hijab. They were all wearing hijab. The Jews, same way. They were wearing hijab. Look at the picture of Mary. Have you seen a picture of Mary? What's on Mary's head? A hijab. When I was in California last summer, I was sitting at home one day and I got a phone call. The house is right by the masjid. I get a phone call. I pick up the phone.